Now the question is, why do we need objects and classes? Why, as programmers, do we want to introduce a level of complexity to our program when we've been doing just fine without it? Let's take this beginning of a game as an example. What do we have here? We have a variable called name, energy, and attack. They are used to describe a character whose name is Daniel, whose energy is 100, and whose attack is a random value from 0 to 15. We're printing out this message, right? Daniel is walking down the road when a monster appeared. Daniel attacks. Daniel deals out attack amount of damage, and the monster has been destroyed. This is a very simple example, but it works for what I'm trying to explain. So now let me go ahead and compile it and run it. And you can see that this is what happens, right? Prints out Daniel is walking down the road. Monster appears, Daniel attacks, deals out 0 damage, and monster has been destroyed. That doesn't make sense, right? So let's say it deals out 1 damage, okay. So anyways, this program here is like the beginning of a very simple game. Now, what if the number of variables that we use to describe Daniel, the character, were not 3 variables, but let's say there were 10 variables, right? We had energy, we have attack, we have position, we have, let's say it's a 2-dimensional game, so we have X position, we have Y position, we have speed, we have luck, we have inventory, we have potions, we have all these different variables that are going to store information about this character. Let's say there's 10 of them, right? So let me go ahead and copy this and paste it a couple more times. So let's say we have this set of variables here that are going to describe our character. Now let's assume that we have 7 characters in our game, right? What does that mean? That means we're going to have in our program 7 sets of 10 variables, right, to describe the 7 different characters in our game. You can see that it's already starting to get extremely cumbersome. Okay. So what are objects and classes? Objects and classes allow us to create this set of variables that describe a character and store it in a single variable. Okay. So I could store it all into, let's say I had a class called character, and the variable that I want to store it in is hero1. I could say hero1.new character, like so. This here is going to create those 10 variables, and it's going to store it here in my hero1 variable. And then if I had a second character, I can go ahead and create a hero2 and have it create another set of 10 variables and store it here in hero2, and so on with hero3 and 4. And then if I ever wanted to access those variables, I could just go ahead and say hero1.name. And then over here I could say hero1.name, I could say hero1.attack, and hero1.name. So by using objects and classes, we can make our programs simpler to read and require less lines of code for the programmer to write. Okay? Objects and classes allow us to write more efficient code more simply. And us being lazy programmers, right? We're all lazy. Another synonym for lazy is efficient. Being efficient programmers, we want to use objects and classes in order to make our job easier. So this is why we need objects and classes. They allow us to write our code in a more efficient manner. And in the next video, we'll talk about how we can define a class and how we can create an object.